Argentina, Lionel Messi, it's looking like he might be a doubt for Argentina in this quarterfinal game coming up tomorrow. Um, Obviously, that will be a big blow for Argentina, not being able to have their talisman, their 10, their captain, their leader um, at um in this game. He is a difference maker still, despite a rather slow start to Copa America. He is the difference maker for this Argentina team. He has the ability to find the pass that no one even will even think about. Uh, you know, Still in the final third, there's not many players that you would take over him even to this day. But he is, he is doubtful. Not doubtful, but he's a doubt. Now, Argentinian manager Lionel Scaloni said that a Messi status. Who, by the way, Lionel Scaloni, he returns from suspension after being suspended for that final group stage game. He will be back. But Lionel Scaloni, he has said that Messi's status for the quarterfinal against Ecuador is unclear. He said the lineup will be determined after their evening training session that Messi was a part of. This is what he said. We will train in a couple of hours and then we will decide. One more day is always better. Yesterday we had good sensations and today we will decide. Based on today's answer, we will decide if Messi plays. He did not play in the final group stage match, as I previously said, as they went on to defeat Peru 2-0 because of a right leg injury that he suffered in the Chilean game. And at that point when it happened, his status was day to day, and he ended up returning to training a few days later. Scaloni also said, I haven't spoken with him about the situation. I will talk to him today, given it's match day -1. I thought it was fair that he will take his time and train as much as possible. After talking, we will decide. I haven't talked to him, so we don't know if he will play. It's never been the way. It alters when Leo doesn't play. It alters everyone, not just me. We'll try for him to be there, and if not, we will find the best for the team, his game by game, and the team will conform to the rival. He was able to train, you know. Post that press conference, he was able to train. So it gives Argentina fans at least a little bit of some hope now. But it's still a murky situation. But yeah, if Messi is not playing for Argentina against Ecuador, that could be a big deal, because Ecuador, in my opinion, is a team with the real quality. Going back and watching them at the 2022 World Cup, they have some serious players and they play really good football. They did not get out of that group, but they have some cracking. They played some cracking football, and they really should have, to be honest. If you look at the performances that they provided in their first two games, and in the third game, they ended up losing to Senegal. In a game they didn't get dominated in, but lost on, a penalty and a set piece. But if it was hugely unlucky that they were not able to get out of that group. Very unlucky. So for me, this is a team with quality. Now, since Felix Sanchez came in, on the back of what he did, he was able to do with the Qatari FA, winning them the AFCON. Ecuador, they've been iffy in World Cup qualifying. They lost to Argentina. That's been their only loss. But it's been they've been solid, and in these Copa America, um, they started off very shaky in the fact that they lost to Venezuela. A lot has to do with the fact that they suffered an early red card early in the game, which made it difficult, defending with 10 men for a very long stretch of the game. It was very similar to how it went on with the U.S. when they played Panama. You know, despite the red cards, both teams ended up scoring a goal shortly afterwards. Um, well, not that shortly for Ecuador. It was about 18 minutes afterwards. The U.S. one came almost immediately after the red card. But both teams were able to get a goal, but then they weren't able to hold on to their lead, and eventually the pressure just became too much, playing against 11 men, playing 10 against 11, playing down a man, and both teams ended up suffering in those situations. So the big point I was trying to make is, that opening loss to Venezuela, a lot of it is the red card. Let's be fair. Now Ecuador, once you get that lead, you have to be able to defend it for your life, especially with 10 men, but it's still difficult with 10 men in that situation. And then Ecuador were able to turn around in a Jamaica game, that they had some good stretches of play. In that first half, played really, really well. And in that second half was a little timid. It was like Jamaica, they got themselves a foot in the game, and they really looked a threat to potentially find an equalizer. But then Ecuador were able to find the third. But honestly, based on that, based throughout the game, based on the first half, Ecuador were very, very impressive. But they did show vulnerabilities in the second half. And I have to say, in that Mexico game, yes, you're playing basically an away game with all the Mexican fans packing the University Phoenix Stadium. But, they were very lucky not to concede the goal, because if Mexico had any sort of real cutting edge, any sort of quality in the final third, they would have found the ball in the back of the net, because the amount of chances, the amount of times they got the ball in good areas, in areas that they could be dangerous, that they just couldn't take advantage of because of quality. And Ecuador, they were defending for their lives, and I was rather disappointed with the performance, because in my opinion, I thought Ecuador was the better team. I thought they would have been able to out-football Mexico, but they were having to defend for their lives, and maybe they settled too much on the fact that they only needed a draw, and they decided, okay, we're not going to go out and try to win the game, which I guess ended up being the right approach, but it also became a dangerous approach. So, I'm looking at what they did the last World Cup and looking at what they've done since Felix Sanchez came in, and I'm iffy about this Ecuador team. By the way, Ecuador, they have some ridiculous record of not getting out of their Copa America group stage. Something ridiculous, I believe. And I think like the two out of, the few times that they did it happened to me in these combined Copa Americas, whenever it's combined with North America. This one, they were able to get out in 2016, two of the group stages, where they went on to lose to the U.S. actually in that game up north in Seattle, CenturyLink. They lost that game, I believe, 2-1 or 2-0. This is a Ecuador team that traditionally does not have much success at Copa America, so you could understand the scenes after that game. But I think Ecuador definitely, they have proper footballing midfield. They have young guys also coming up ranks, like Kennedy Paez, who scored that penalty in the Jamaican game. So they have quality there to really make Argentina, to give Argentina a question. Now the thing with Argentina now that you're playing without Messi, look, Argentina, realistically, they have a second team that can go out and compete with most of the teams at this tournament. They're just so good, Argentina, compared to, the Mexicos, the Venezuelas, the Ecuadors, all that. They're really, Argentina is a really deep, loaded team. But there are times that they do lack a little bit of that cutting edge, a little bit of that, being able to make that final play in the attacking third. And Messi has been a huge, huge part of, not carrying, but basically carrying in terms of creation, in terms of creativity amongst the team. And if there is that lack of big creativity, I think Argentina will struggle to get that breakthrough moment. So for me, if Messi can't play, I think it becomes a whole different sort of game. Now, if Messi does play, I think Argentina are back to being their best, and I don't think Ecuador can do it. But if Messi can't play, I don't know. We might be seeing a shock exit from Argentina and really open up this tournament even more for some of the other nations in the other side, Brazil, Colombia, Uruguay. So